place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till I can say I am what I am. All right, last time for this one, right? Woo! I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what if I love each sparkle and each bangle? Why not try to see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can shout out, I am what I am. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. I deal my own deck, sometimes the aces, sometimes the deuces. It's one life and there's no return and no deposit. One life, so it's time to open up your closet. Life's not worth a damn till you can shout out, I am what I am. I am what I am.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning. You guys all know Carla Neck? Okay. Miss Carla is initiating our change of order in our service today. We're doing something a little bit different, but mostly Carla Neck is the prayer chaplain trainer for our prayer chaplains. So if you're a prayer chaplain, would you stand up, please? There's Mr. George, there's Miss Denny. Awesome, Smosham. Yep. And we have 2 new people joining our fold, so I welcome you, Miss Carla Neck.
Thank you. Good morning. And I just want to say welcome, welcome. And I really mean this. This whole spiritual community means this when we say, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Yeah. And you are. So, it's the first Sunday of the month, and the power of this month is imagination. And the disciple that was attributed to is Bartholomew, and the physical location for the gift of imagination is between the eyes, and the color is light blue. It is the ability to image, picture, conceptualize, envision, and dream. And would you join me in saying this affirmation?
I let my imagination soar, and my divine potential awakens.
Hope most of you know about the Daily Word, our daily inspirational devotion that's available in our bookstore, online, and I highly recommend it. Today's word is such a good one. It's release. Regular releasing keeps me in the flow of life. I've been changing as long as I've been alive, and will continue to evolve as long as I live. I make room for the person I'm becoming through releasing, which is an important part of my spiritual practice. Just as I would not fill my closet with clothes that no longer fit, I do not fill my life with beliefs and ideas that no longer reflect who I am and who I'm becoming. Regular releasing creates space in my life for new things to come in. It is my way of remaining open to possibility, of welcoming new opportunities, of keeping myself in the flow of life. Releasing is also a powerful way to live my faith. I trust I am moving in the right direction and release items from my past easily and with gratitude for the role that they played in my life. And from Psalms 51:10, create in me a clean heart, O God, and put a new and right spirit within me. Regular releasing keeps me in the flow of life. And now it's my pleasure as prayer chaplain to talk about the prayer box and what we do with that. So a lot of you know, some may not, Unity was founded on the mighty power of affirmative prayer, which means praying for what we more of instead of focusing on the current issue. For example, if you're ill, ask for healing. If you're unsure about an upcoming decision, ask for guidance. If you're grateful for a healed relationship or a new job, request a prayer for thanksgiving. On the counter, on that shelf in the back, there is a prayer box and slips and pins where you can place your prayer request. And after the service today, I'm going to go back there and pick those up. And I'm going to share the request with our prayer chaplains and send them on to Silent Unity, where they will hold them in prayer for 30 days. And I would say, as you place your request in that box, let it be that you give thanks in advance for your answered prayer and then release it. Let go and let God. And lastly, all the chaplains invite you to experience affirmative prayer firsthand by asking one of us to pray with you. Please know that we consider every request a sacred honor held in confidence. We'll be up front following the service wearing these purple stoles. Thank you.
See what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. When your life seems empty, it is so untrue. There's a mighty presence making all things new. Miracles take place whenever you may be, providing that God's love is with you constantly. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done.
Okay, the announcements for today is, the first one on the list is Donna Fairley's fundraiser concert. Oh, I'm having problems talking today, sorry. June 11th, 11:30 a.m. to a.m. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking it's afternoon, not in the morning. Okay, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And tickets can be purchased in advance in the narthex. It will be an hour of Donna singing, which we all love, then an hour of karaoke at this time. Join in the fun. Plus, fellowship there will be a potluck before the concert. Sign up and bring something that you really like to make for everybody. The potluck is for everyone, whether attending the concert or not. Today is the last opportunity to sign up for the spirit groups. They begin this week. Various days are available. The book study is Rich Life, Holy Life by Richard Schumacher. Books are available in our bookstore to anyone who would like one for $20. The new date for the fundraiser, Spiritual Yoga, is Sunday, July 23rd, 2023 at 11:30. Please mark your calendar for this new date. Previously purchased tickets will be honored for this date, and you may purchase tickets in the Norfolks if you wish and have not as of yet. And also, there is something new. Calling all creative people out there. I know everybody out here has something that they really do, like paint, write, sew, sculpt, craft, or create other stuff, and currently attend Unity Spiritual Center. They're going to come, they're calling to everybody to come together to discuss a potential art show here at our center. We will meet on Sunday, June 18th at 11:30 a.m. to see if there is an interest in this type of event. Come with your ideas and let's see what develops. No RSVP is needed, just show up. And I know there's creative people out there, so it would be really a fun thing to do for everybody. Thank you.
Let's get still. This is the time in our service where we give our attention over to that indwelling spirit, that essence that we call God. So I invite you to just gently close your outer eyes and keep that imagination eye open. And we just get still. I invite you to let the chair support you so you can let your shoulders drop and put both feet on the ground and feel connected to the energy of the earth, for that energy is pounding and it is a releasing. And as we let that energy come through our feet, and we will allow it to radiate through our body. And imagine, and yet make it true, that your heart is opening and your mind is opening. Literally see your heart as it beats, opening wide, as your mind is open to all that awaits us. For that connection with our heart is our solid foundation in connecting with God. So I invite you to take a mindful breath, an awareness breath, breathing in. Fill your lungs with that breath, for it is the lifeline. And then slowly release. Take another nice breath, and then exhale as a cleansing breath. And I want you to quietly, in your own way, affirm, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am a radiant life of God, manifesting through this experience. I am loved by God, and I have all that I need. I am loved by God, and I have all that I need. I want you to take this time to imagine yourself in a meadow, a beautiful Florida meadow. The trees are swaying. The high grass is moving with the wind. You can hear birds maybe even a frog or two. And we just casually walk through the meadow, breathing in the beautiful air. And we take our time walking through this beautiful meadow. You feel safe, you feel secure, you feel joy. For the joy of just being present in this moment. And in your own way, you say yes to God. Yes to all that has happened. Yes to all that is. And yes to all that is yet to come. For with our minds and our hearts wide open, we know we are immersed in the very presence of God. For God is the meadow, this beautiful place that we choose to walk this journey. You can imagine walking side by side with God. You can imagine the presence of God within you. And you can imagine that God is everywhere in this meadow. So we allow ourselves to walk freely, unconcerned about where we're stepping, but rather just moving forward in the presence of pure being. And that pure being is you. You walk with God, and this is a beautiful time to talk with God. Prayer is requesting. Meditation is listening. So whatever request you have on your mind, bring that forth in your conversation with God. And then we let go, and we listen to that still small voice of God, the one that beats within you, that very essence of God. And now we allow ourselves to just get still and to hear that sweet voice of God. and in your own sweet way, give gratitude for this moment to just be still, to hear the still small voice of God. And so it is. Amen. Amen.
Each day I live, I want to be a day to give the best of me. I'm only one, but not alone. My finest day is yet unknown. I broke my heart, fought every gain to taste the sweet. I face the pain. I rise and fall, yet through it all, this much remains. I want one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. Then in that one moment of time, I will feel eternity. I've lived to be the very best. I want it all, no time for less. I've laid the plans, now lay the chance here in my hands. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. Then in that one moment in time, I will feel eternity. You're a winner for a lifetime if you seize that one moment in time. Make it shine. Give me one moment in time when I'm more than I thought I could be, when all of my dreams are a heartbeat away, and the answers are all up to me. Give me one moment in time when I'm racing with destiny. Then in that one moment of time, I will be free. I will be free.
Yay. Yay, yay. This is our last of 6 weeks of dealing with the I am statements that Jesus made in the Gospel of John. And I know you're thrilled. You're like, oh, thank God she's getting off the I am crap. I know. But it's very important, the I am, and I hope you're remembering to wear your button. If you need one, I think there's a few more out front. It's just that gentle reminder that you are on this plane of existence to experience your I am. I am, and then you get to add what it is to it. And next week, we start a new 6-week series based on the book that the Spirit groups are using, Rich Life, Holy Life, by Richard Schumacher. So this book is available in the bookstore, and at the conclusion of each talk, there'll be a slide with 3 or 4 questions for you to answer based on the reading. So those of you that haven't already signed up for Spirit groups, today's the last day to do that as they start this week. You can sign up later, but today would be the best time to do it, and of course, get your book. If you're not going to be participating in Spirit groups, get the book and follow along with us each week. One of the things that we aspire to doing here is providing small group ministries where you can explore a deeper meaning of the Sunday talks. You know, you remember the old days? You come to church on Sundays and you're good for a week and see you next week? Okay? Our quest is that the message that we offer you on Sundays and throughout the week with other small groups, that it continues to flow through you as the week goes on. It's not forgotten. You know, I'm not sure. Do you remember what last week's talk was? Besides the I am? Yeah, well, I was here. I remember. I was here. Yeah, it's hard for us to grab it and hang on to it. So small group ministries is an effort to expand that spiritual deepening within you. So jump in with us if you care to. It's a really good book. I think you'll really like it. Today's lesson, I'm going to deal with quite a few materials that you may want to peruse at your leisure. The 12 Powers of Man, which is 12 spiritual faculties that reside within us. And this month is imagination, and there's one for each month with a corresponding affirmation and a color for us to focus on. And because it comes up in today's lesson. And interestingly enough, although Charles Fillmore wrote this book, The 12 Powers, it's a very good book. Some of you are even scholars to some degree on it. I kind of just peruse it. It's not where I want to focus. But interestingly enough, Charles Fillmore, when he and Myrtle Fillmore were developing what this new thinking was about, he wasn't a big fan of saying that there were chakras, that there were, but Emily Cady was. Emily Cady really spoke to these 12 spiritual faculties. Emily Cady wrote the book Lessons in Truth, which is a foundational book for our movement. So at any rate, later on in life, he got wind of it and said, you know what, we need to talk about it. Because just like us, when we open our minds, we evolve and we create things. You'll find in his writings, he talks a lot about wisdom, understanding, and love. You'll see that throughout his writings. And then as he evolved as a spiritual being, as we're doing, he expanded his knowledge into the 12 spiritual faculties. So one of the writers today that we're going to talk about talks about if you don't use those 12 spiritual faculties, they seem to disappear. And it's important for us to strengthen our 12 spiritual faculties because that's what's within us that allows us to expand on our spiritual journey. And so through prayer request, it's like, for example, the sense of imagination is all about, right? That third eye, you've heard the term third eye. Well, that's where our imagination faculty is sitting. And so if you could, making this up as I go along, but as the week goes on and the month goes on and we talk about imagination, what if you were to rub that part of your body and ignite it and give it warmth and energy, and then get still and allow your imagination to not take over your existing life, but to add life to it, to expand, especially when you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I wonder what I could do. And I was just sharing with somebody this morning that they were like, I have this thing, but I don't know what to do about it. Wow, let the imagination expand. Because what we know with God is all things are possible, right? That's the easy part. What we forget about is that our imagination is limited, but God's is not. When we can open up the faculty of imagination, things open up for us that we never thought possible. And that's the value of that one spiritual faculty. So today's lesson is coming from John 15, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to make reference to Mysteries of John, which is the metaphysical interpretation of the entire Gospel of John. Good little resource. Because John is known for the spiritual gospel. Mark is known for the historical aspect of Jesus' tenure. And I also included one of my favorite books. It's by a Unity minister called Reverend Jim Lewis. He's made his transition. He came out of Colorado. But he wrote a book as well, and he called it The Spiritual Gospel, and he metaphysically interpreted the Gospel of John as well. And, of course, our revealing word. Everybody should have this. So the first thing I did this morning when I woke up, I said, okay, what does the word vine mean? Because that's what we're talking about today, is the vine. So let's turn to the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 1, 2, and 3. It starts, I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. That's it. I am the vine, the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Now here, remember that when he refers to Father, capital F, he's talking about God. That was his language at that time to refer to God. Sometimes you'll read it says Jehovah, depending on the version of the Bible. This is the King James. So depending on the version you're reading, so when Jesus is speaking of a third party, he's speaking about God. And so if you can translate that in your mind, it makes it reading a little bit better. For example, I am the true vine, and God is the vine dresser versus my Father. See, it lands. It lands, and it's up to us to shift some of those words so that we can live with it and not question or doubt or dismiss it, for God's sakes, right? Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, God takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, God prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Now, one thing I want to say about this is God doesn't take anything away from us. Implies differently here. And I say that because there are three faces of God. And sometime in the near future, I'm going to do a talk on the three faces. So there's I, we. I said, take that note because you're going to muck it up. And I did. Oh, come on. Aw. There are three faces of God. Trust me. So I have to figure there's some other reason for this. Some of us talk to God with, God, will you please? Right? That's speaking as if God is outside of ourselves. Well, God is outside of ourselves. And then we get still and we listen to the still small voice of God. That's the God within us. And then we speak about God in other things. The table, the chair. For there is no place that God is not. There are three faces to God. All of them are accessible to us, right? Depending on, you saw Jesus go up into the mountainside, and he lived in the trees and the nature, and he found God. Some of us are tree huggers in that sense, right? We find God. Some of us need to come in here and be in fellowship where we're in communion with God. So we have all different aspects of how we connect with God. And that's important because all of them are what Jesus taught us, and we can do that too. You see? Because we get stuck sometimes on that we think we can't do what Jesus did. I can understand that, raising people from the dead. It makes us distance ourselves from God, from Jesus, saying, I don't know how to do that. Because Jesus was God, Jesus is God, and Jesus is part of God. All one package, and so are we. And what he demonstrated is how do we communicate with God. So he's saying in this verse, I am the true vine. I am. What does I am represent? That part of us that connects with God. So what we attach our I am to, we are saying that God, I'm attaching my I am to something. And we hope it's positive. We hope it's something fruitful in your life, not something negative. Because our minds are made to respond to the I am within us, because that I am is God. And so when we say, I am not good enough, the body responds to that and gives you what it is you have the most attention on. And I would hope that you don't put a lot of energy on those kinds of statements. When they do come up, you negate them. Hence affirmations and denials. Go, whoa, didn't mean that, cancel. And replace it with something positive. And give that fuel, right? Because here he's saying that if you don't feed the vine, it will die. Makes sense, right? So if we don't feed the negativity within us, more of us is alive. So he's telling us, I am, Jesus representing that part of us. It says, I'm the true vine. I am the true vine. Your truth is in your I am statements. Because what you believe in is how you address your I am. So when you believe in negative consequences, the below the line behavior, you get to be right. And negative opportunities present themselves. We all want negative opportunities. Yeah, bring it on, God. No! And yet, we'll say things like that. We'll say things that are negative about our bodies, about others, and then we want to know why we have discord in our lives. Because we've given that part of our I am the attention. Positive or negative, the mind doesn't care. Mind doesn't care. We've been talking several weeks now about the degeneration of the body and the death experience. We wish it wasn't so, but we've bought into that part of us. And here Jesus is telling us, if I am is the true vine, then it is up to us to let go of that which no longer serves us. Much like clean out your closet, right? You don't have your closet filled with clothes you wore as a child. I hope not, right? You have in your closet, and closet represents that part of you that is expanding and detracting. Expanding and detracting. Because we change, don't we? Our bodies change based on our thinking. And so we talked last week about there is some scientific experience going on that we're finding that we don't need our gallbladders as much. And over an evolutionary time, those parts of our body that we no longer use, our appendix, our tonsils, we will be born without them because they're no longer useful. That's just the evolving of men. We may not see that in our time, but our great-grandkids might. Children being born without a gallbladder or an appendix. And we'll think it's odd at first, and then it'll just become normal, commonplace. Ain't no big deal. Body's fine without it. It's the same thing because our branches, if they don't bear fruit, why are they there? Their function is to bear fruit. Our ideas are meant to bear fruit. If we don't make use of those ideas, they're taken away, right? Somebody else grabs that $1 million idea. We're given guidance all the time, but we don't, for some reason, We're so fixated on the outer that we lose track of those divine ideas, the inspiration, the imagination that kicks in. We don't know what to do with it. We think we're not equipped to do what the guidance tells us to do, and we dismiss it. We make it invalid. We say, must have been a mistake. What we attach our I am to is the whole crux of it. That's why I spent 6 weeks on this. The I am is what guides us. It's that part of us that gives you what your energy field is around. So he says, I am the true vine. And what he's talking about here in the revealing word, let's look at the word vine. Great book. And here, it's vine and branches. It's page 204. The I am within us is the vine. Our faculties are the branches. And the perfect body is the fruit, what we produce. The life current as it comes from the universal source is combined in vine, branches, and fruit. Father, Mother, God, the whole Trinity. Vine, branches, and fruit. And it is on this free-flowing inner force that we fix our attention when we demonstrate the power of spirit. Material symbols are likely to be misleading unless we remember always to get the spiritual import of their I am application. God bless Henry Ford for developing the car, right? Imagine we'd still be walking around on horses and buggy. Probably be more of you here today. Point being is that what we attach our I am to is the vine, the branches, and the fruit. I got a plant at home that won't bloom. So I got pissy. What's wrong with me that I can't get the plant, right? I start to blame me. But then I shifted. And I looked at this beautiful plant and I said, tell me what you need, honey. Tell me what you need. You need something? Let's figure it out. You're getting enough sun and you get enough water. What else is going on? And a whole bunch of little bugs started to come off the plant. I went, ew, you're being eaten alive. I'm going to eradicate that. But I asked and I was given the answer. Little things, right? You know, we talk about when somebody first comes to Unity, how they manifest parking spots. You know, that's that first level of clarity, right? I get that. But then we expand on that, right? Parking spots are no longer an issue for us. We've passed that stage. But then we got some other things going on. Maybe our pocketbook's a little too tight. We don't like it that tight. So we ask God for help, right? Well, what are we asking for? Maybe we're asking for our imagination to kick in to create another source of income, right? Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah. Or maybe we need divine order. There's something that you've already been given, but you don't know how to imply it and wrap it around and make it yours. Whatever it is, you're the true vine with your words. And when something no longer serves you, we cut that branch off. Hence the branch dies. Right? Controlled burns comes to mind. It's important that they're talking now in California of instituting a controlled burn so that there aren't wildfires. Good idea. You know, wildfires are an issue, so they're, okay, what's the solution? What can we do? You know, we have so many different avenues with which to expand our spiritual growth. If you have a gift, I just spoke with someone today that said, you know what, I don't think I belong here. I'm much more suited here. Oh, please go there, right? Go where you belong. And because our mission statement says, not only do we transform lives, but we inspire others to be a positive aspect in our world. This is our world. You know, I heard a wonderful person share with me the other day. There was a period in his life in the 70s and 80s that he was so adamant about the environment, right? There were a lot of us that really pushed to limit the things that were landing in the landfills and to try to make a difference. And he thought he had to be this global aspect to do something that the world, right? Some of us get that. And then we get frustrated because we can't do it. I can't go in. I'm just a little me, right? And so we discount the gift. So he's come to terms with, he doesn't use plastic trash bags, he used paper. You know, he's doing his part in that household to not contribute. And that's the gift he can offer. Little thing, right? Big impact, though. You know, and some of us have already been guided with that. We're recycling batteries. That's an issue, right? We can take care of that. And so each of you have gifts. Sometimes they're wow, and sometimes they're just little things. But the little things matter. So when we say to ourselves, I don't have any gifts, you may not, because you're not open to them. You may not be able to see the gifts that you are. And so our ministry is built on creating an ownership project that you guys own the church. I just facilitate, right? I'm not the only source for your spiritual growth, hence the small group ministries. And we want our lives to be transformed. We want something magical to happen to our lives so that we experience more of God, a more positive God, a more aspect of God where we're feeling good about our lives because we're doing what's presented in front of us to do. So here's the thing. Each of us know one, maybe two people who just sit all day long. Don't do anything. Watch TV all day long. Everybody know anybody like that? And we're like, really? You live in Disneyland. Why aren't you out doing something? No, I'm good. I'm good. You know, back in my younger day, after I figured out how to get parking spots, my next quest was to figure out how I can get into a positive relationship. And I made sure I added the word positive, because I can get in a relationship with anybody. But I wanted it to be positive. So I was being emphatic about it, right? You know, and there was this other gal in the ministry who was on the same quest as I was, right? She never went anywhere. She's sad. So one day I said to her, I said, you know, you really think that's going to happen? You sitting at your home? I'm out, you know, doing stuff. And she said, oh, yeah. Really? Oh, yeah. God will figure it out. I'm open and receptive. And I'm like, well, I'm open and receptive, and I'm going bowling because I want to meet somebody who knows a bowl. I'm going to go do this because, you know, right? She's in a relationship before me. I am not happy. How did that happen? She's sitting watching TV when there's a knock at the door. Neighbor 2 doors down needs to borrow her weed whacker. He saw her out there weed whacking, and his broke, so he knocked on the door and said, they're married. Somebody came and knocked on her door, right? Because her I am was so emphatic about it. Mine was like, ain't going to happen me sitting on my arse. I better get my butt out there. See? So we don't judge, right? But what this Bible verse is telling us, if you're sitting on your arse, that means you're not listening to the still small voice also. Because the still small voice is saying, get up and get moving. If you don't use your legs, they stop working. You know? The body just says, oh, you don't want me? I'm good. I'll go do something else. Scary, but true. So it's up to us to use the gifts we have. Our hands, our feet, our minds, our imagination. All aspects of it, or it gets taken away. One way or the other. And at some point, the body says, I'm done. And our mind agrees with it, and we lose this body form. It is what it is. Until we change our minds about it. Right? So how do we do that? So Charles Fillmore, in his Mysteries of John, says, metaphysically stated, the Father is the God mind. Father equals God. Jesus is the individual incarnation of the mind. We create the form of entity that we call Jesus, here called the true vine. Every branch in me means the faculties of mind and fruit in the thought. And that's why you hear me repeatedly say, and I'm not saying it to you, I'm saying it for me, what we give our attention to grows. What's going on? What's going on up here? How are you spending your time with your mind? Is it on something good? Or are you lamenting about what wasn't or what will not be? We don't know diddly squat about the future. And that's important, that you not put yourself in a box that you know what's going to happen tomorrow. Not unless you're getting paid for it. You don't know what tomorrow's going to be. But what it can be is joy-filled, love-filled, and a whole heck of a lot of fun. If you want it to be. Because you decide your own course. Even when outer appearances are really bad, this going on, that going on, you want me to be happy? Are you out of your brigging mind? I have every right to not be happy. You go for it. But you have every right to be happy as well, even in the unrest, even in the discord of life. You get to choose. You get to choose. I am the true vine. I am the true vine. Your homework. I say this often, not just as a homework, but also our job on this spiritual journey is actually a very simple one. We just have to remember to do it. Mindful of what you're thinking. Just be mindful of what you're thinking. You can change your mind. When your thoughts go below the line, you say, not now. I'm going above the line. I'm going for the true vine. What do I want to give my attention to? What do I want more of? What do I want to grow in my life? You want more relationships that are healthy? Go do that. The moment you see a yellow flag when you interact with somebody, take a beeline and go, I'm going to go here. Because that's important. Mindfulness. Your homework is to change your mind about 3 things this week. 3 things that you put into a box, because there are no boxes in God's world. There isn't. God doesn't put it in a box. This month is Pride Month. And I went to an event Thursday night, had a lovely time. And so the conversation always stems to, how long have you been blank? You fill in the blank. Happens every time. And for many years, I have firmly believed that when we live our lives without boxes, there's no need for labels. We don't have to be something. We are a child of God, and these are the choices I'm making with my I am. We make choices. And so when we can get rid of the boxes and we get rid of our labels, we truly become an all-inclusive community. We don't need to say, this person is that age, or this person is that young, or this person has 3 children, this one doesn't. We just are. And that changes the way we think. And that's the aspect of our minds that we can change our minds. Your homework is 3 things that you think you need to be right about, that you might be wrong. Change your mind. You see, the moment you attach yourself to, I'm on a fixed income. How many of you are on a fixed income? No! No! It's like, how many of you are in AA? Well, that goes to the anonymous. Right? Never say you're on a fixed income. Change your mind about that. Doesn't that put you in a box? How many of you were fearful that you weren't going to get your Social Security check this month because of the debt limit? Good, me either. I went, whatever. I love this one person who said, and I'm grateful that I don't remember who it is that said it. It was a congresswoman. Don't worry about it if we if you don't get your government check for June, just tap into your savings and you'll be all right. I said, I'm glad you got savings account. I prefer not to tap, Change your mind. Don't put yourself in a box. There is no such thing as fixed income. Every time you go to the mailbox, there's money in the mail. It's true. So have that happen for you. Don't go to the mailbox grumbling. There's good things that come in that mail. Even that 20% Bed Bath & Beyond coupon is money in the bank. Right? Stay out of the box. Change your mind about 3 things. You have to pay attention to what those 3 things, because they're going to pop up. All 3 of those things to change your mind are going to happen today, because you're thinking about them all the time. You're thinking about how you're in a box about something. My grandchildren, I never get to see my grandchildren. Box. Change your mind. See? That's how it happens. I don't have enough time. Box. Change your mind. See? There's so many ways that you can change your mind. And you get choice. You get to choose. Flip a coin. A, I'm going to change my mind. Tails, I'm going to just keep my limited thinking and blame everybody else. 3 things change your mind about. God bless. Love you. Mean it. See you next week. This is the time in our service where we give over our love offerings and our gifts. And I just want to say, if you're with us for the very first time today, anybody out there for the very first time? Good to see you. Good to see you too, sir. You are our gift. Therefore, we would invite you to not give to our financial well-being, but rather know that you are our gift, and that's enough. For that, let us affirm our offertory prayer. Together, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my power.
We see these gifts going out into the universe to bless the many hands that they come in contact with, for we know that these gifts continue flourishing within our ministry so that we can continue to transform lives and inspire others to make a positive difference in our world. Together, let us affirm our offertory blessing using the pronouns us and we. Together. Divine love, as us, blesses and multiplies all that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive, and we are grateful. And so it is. Amen. We do this every month, the first Sunday of the month. We do a center update where I have an opportunity to share something with you that I think will improve our community as a whole. How many of you are familiar with this mutual agreements? Raise your hands. Yeah. Now, when I look around, you folks were here prior to COVID. We spent some time on this. And so it occurred to me a couple weeks back, I went, you know what, we have a whole nother side of our congregation that was not here before that. And so I wanted to spend some time with you about mutual agreements, and I had somebody ask about that this week. I had somebody ask about it a couple weeks, and I went, it doesn't take rocket science, it's time for me to talk about it. So I am. Where this comes from is that, as a general rule, I'm a transitional minister, not a positioned senior minister. That's the language I was looking for. So when I go into a ministry, sometimes they're not able to talk with each other. There's been angst, there's been anguish, and things are not where they would like to be as a spiritual community. So this is the first thing I do, is I go over mutual agreements. How do we get along with each other? Because what we know, where two or more are gathered together, there the crap is. Right? It's just inevitable. When we're buyers, it's not uncommon for ministers to say, I love my job if it wasn't for the people. It's tough. It's tough to get along with everybody. And so here I am, and I got to get along with all of you. You guys only have to get along with half a dozen. I got to get along with all of you. So I'm constantly in check. What am I saying? What am I doing? How am I presenting myself? And I follow these as my guide. So I want to share them with you. First one, I am mindful that only one person at a time speaks at a time. How many of you have somebody who talks over you? Nobody? Yeah, you know what it feels like. And you want to slap them silly, or you want to patiently wait for them to finish, which sometimes never happens. So here is the trick, is that you're mindful that when someone's speaking to you, you let them finish. And they're mindful that you have something to say. It goes both ways. 2, I'm mindful to not engage in crosstalk or talking over others. You know what crosstalk is, right? So you're in a group of 5 people, Spirit Groups is starting, you've got a group you're meeting with, and someone's sharing an intimate moment, and you're over here talking to the person next to them. Don't do that. Be present for another human being. Your stuff can wait, there'll be time. 3, I create my own space of safety and personal need. If you do not feel safe in the company of somebody, clean it up or leave it. Don't feel where you're not feeling good about who you're with, because they can feel it. You're uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable. Clean it up, whatever the uncomfortability is about, or move on. 4, I use I statements when speaking. Well, we were thinking that you should change the order of service, Mo. We don't like what you're doing here. You know how many times I've heard that? And I always say, who's the we? Well, I was talking to, and then we decided. Speak for yourself. Don't speak for somebody else. It's much more honest dialogue, and much more fruit is developed from it. 5, I realize that what I share are my personal perceptions of an incident or situation, and that every person has a right to their own perception, and their own perception is real to them. That isn't what happened. I can't believe you're saying that. Yeah, it is real for them. Do you see? You share what I experienced with another person. You listen, you don't crosstalk. They get a chance to share their experience, and both of you are correct, because our eyes see differently. Always. Next slide. I honor the boundaries of confidentiality established. This is not new information here, right? When somebody says, can we keep this between the two of us? Please honor that. Do that for them. You want the same thing back. You don't want your stuff to be all over the Facebook, and for God's sakes, don't do that. I am willing to negotiate and move my personal stake. I really think we should do gospel here. We should be singing gospel music. I can't understand why you won't do that, Mo. And I'm like, how many of you would like gospel music? 10 people raise their hand. Don't raise your hand because we're not doing gospel. But I could move my position if there were enough of you to maybe the 5th Sunday of the month to introduce it. There's moving my stake versus me saying, ain't gonna happen, have a nice day. Instead, I'm gonna back up and say, wait a second, is there a genuine call for that, or is that just you? See the difference? Move your stake. Listen to what they're saying. Do you have to be in cement, or can you move a little? Move a little. I will let my yes be yes and my no be no. How many of you are community members? Just shoot your hands up. Yeah, about 15 of you. Some of them are governing members. It says in there, I'm saying yes to 3 things. So when you say yes to being in service, to be a greeter, an usher, the welcome desk, the bookstore, if you're signed up for today, you said yes, right? And then you don't show. Everyone's upset now because everyone was going to be in a certain spot and doing things, and now the greeter's got to, well, can you do this instead of this? And if you said yes, be here. Be here. I will speak to my itches in group and not in the parking lot. Another word for this one is gossip. What is gossip? You're speaking about somebody else that isn't present. So you don't go into the parking lot. Say, did you see him? He was walking with a gimp. What the heck? Don't do that. Go up to that person and say, wow, it seems like you're struggling. Let's chat about it. Very different. When you think something isn't going right, especially in the ministry, please call me by phone. Don't just call my name. I'm good, but not that good. Got to pick up the phone and call me. Call me. Make an appointment. Come talk to me. When you hear both sides, you might shift your position. You might discover something different, right? If you see somebody you know that's in a permanent relationship and they're out having tea with somebody who's not their permanent relationship, you do not go into the parking lot and tell Sally, you won't believe who I saw so-and-so with. You don't know. You don't know what the situation is. So you don't gossip because that's below the line behavior. Big time. That'll destroy a church just overnight. You don't want to do that. I'm going to be honest and upfront. I will agree with decisions once made and not speak negatively about them outside the room. This is very important at a board level. So if the chaplains are meeting and they've decided this is how we're going to handle this particular situation, you have an honest, open conversation about it, everybody agrees. One person's like, well, I don't particularly like it, but I'm good with it. We'll just go ahead with that. You've said yes. You've said yes to that. To now go out into the parking lot and say, you won't believe I got pushed into making that decision. I didn't want to do that at all. You've broken the yes agreement, you've broken the parking lot agreement, and you've broken this agreement. Make sense? These are not good things, so you want to be mindful. Number 11, I will respect established time frames. That means when we start at 10, we start at 10. I do my best to leave around 11. Now, you got to know something. We're a little late today, which is rare. I don't do that often. But when I first started here, how many remember what time the service ended? It was around 11:30, consistently. And I went, no, we got to do something about that. So when you say that the meetings, thank you. When you say, if you're a ministry head, I'm just using Carla because she's in the front row. But if Carla's calling a chaplain meeting and she says the meeting's from 10 to 11:30, they should not be still sitting there at 11:45. If you have to table the rest of the agenda, meet again, keep your time frames. Spirit groups is very adamant about that. Spirit groups are 90 minutes, not 120. You stay with your time frames. Make sense? I will turn off my phone and place it on vibrate. Together. I will turn off my phone and put it on vibrate. If you've got a smartphone that's ringing, you can set it up that if you set your phone on vibrate, the phone won't ring. I have mine that says do not disturb between 9:30 and noon on Sundays. If somebody's calling me, they can call me again later because they obviously don't know me. I'm in church. Right? Okay. Anything else? Kind of cuts them off. George?
The two chimes ring means
Good point, George. Good point. He's brought up a good point. I'm going to rephrase it, if I have George's permission to rephrase it. We used to just ring the bell one time right at 10 o'clock. Then the chaplain would go up and light up. And when it's lit, Donna would come up and start to sing. Well, you all were still gathering chatty. You missed the first 2 or 3 stanzas of the song. So we decided 2 minutes till, we would ring the ding, wait 2 minutes, Ding it again, then the chaplain, and then Donna. What George is saying, could we please stop talking when you hear the ding? Whether it's the first or the second, doesn't matter. Get to your seats because we're gearing up to get started. Make sense? Okay. Thank you, George. So these are the mutual agreements. We'd like this used when we start a group, when we start a meeting. We stick with these because these are healthy agreements that keeps a congregation flowing without a lot of negative stuff that comes around. If you got some negative baggage, let's deal with it one-on-one. Somebody upsets you, you need to go to that person. And that's where the quantum living process comes in. We learn about our triggers and we learn how to deal with something that has upset us because there's a right way to do it, and it's a healthy way. Thank you for indulging me. With that, our guest. I know we have a couple guests. Would you mind standing? We have a blessing for you, please. You two or three that were here for the first time today. Thank you, sir. Oh, there's somebody over here. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Thank you. I knew there was the three. We have a blessing for you. Together. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ as you. And for that, we are always grateful. And with that, why don't we stand up for our peace song. And if you haven't already filled out one of these cards, please do so we can find out who you are. And join us in the community room for some coffee and little Danish. Donna, take it away.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be the joyous vow to take each moment and live each moment peace eternal. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin. I am the light of God that surrounds us. I am the love of God that enfolds us. I am the power of God that protects us. I am the presence of God that watches over us. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Have a blessed week, everybody.